Weird science is the revolution.
The Amazing Spider-Man number 46. 46. This is that. Please tell me that at 50 they, send Zeb Wells packing.
That's a lot of issues. 46 of these
a lot
things?
of issues for nothing. Like, what do you think? The worst thing is, like, what do you think of when I think of Paul and how much of a disaster and all this nonsense, and then you get to this issue, and there's characters that you forgot about. They're going to be thrown in. It's just nonsense. And now it's the Anna Watson show again. I just don't understand.
I am not interested in that
at all. Is anybody shocked? But even so, are you excited to find out that Anna has befriended everybody in Ravencroft Institute? That they want to help her, but then she's allowed out because she stopped a prison break?
The only Anna Watson I want to see is in the background when Peter's talking to Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And she's not saying anything.
The Anna Watson I want is in an editor's note. Anna Watson was healed of that stupid Orcus nonsense drugs from the X-Men. Done. But here we are. She
still has dementia, you said.
Yeah, here we are. Though she seems pretty
with it and coherent to me.
Yes. Spider.
She's running for mayor.
Spider-Man, number 46, written by Zeb Wells. Guest star Carmen Tanaro. I don't love the art. Maybe some people like it a little more. Marcelo Menez on colors and VCs. Joe Caramagna on letters. And we're going to have a Sinister Six. We end up where Doc Ock is getting things together for some reason. And it wasn't just us. I thought that it was that they were going to change because of the idea of having Sandman and then saying the idea, oh my God, you have William saying, oh man, Flint's inside, but I've been able to push him back. I'm William Baker. I'm not Flint Marko. I'll push him. I thought that was more of the play of, okay, this stuff's happening. And the same will happen with Norman. Norman has the sins. He's been trying to keep it back, but it's not. This is just all about Flint Marko. That's who they want. And so the setup just is, let's tell everybody that William Baker doesn't want Flint Marko in him, to then have him just come out separate in a weird way. And there's a weird prison break going on that we didn't realize quite was what was happening. And then at the end, you even have that idea of a whole issue, and you have them say, oh, that was just distraction. This is what we're really doing. Kind of off panel a little. But even then, how many more things can Zeb Wells throw at you that nobody wants? I mean, people want the Sinister Six, but do you want it from Zeb Wells? You told me you don't. You don't think he deserved it, right?
He has not done anything in my mind to be able to write the classic Sinister Six team. If he wants to change it up and do something else, that's fine, but not the core team.
He's trying, but why? And so at the beginning, Peter, I expected, though he's dead, guy on the stoop collection agent. He's gone, though. Thank God that dark web ended up. But instead, we get Michelle. I just want to let them. We get Michelle, everybody. Tombstone's lawyer that Peter had a bad date with, who just comes in and Carmen Tanaro, whatever. It's simple Peter. Peter looks like he has lost at least 100 points of IQ when this Michelle starts yelling at him. Oh, yeah. She's like, what the F is your problem, Peter Parker? And he's like,
just staring at her with the dead eyes.
Yeah, just dead eyes. And just this face that just looks like it's I don't know.
It looks like he's on a Instagram filter or something, but he cranked it up to 1,000.
Or he's just plain out stupid. He's like, Michelle? And then she's like, in what world do you think that you can do this to me? He's like, do what?
It's like Bizarro Peter.
Yeah. And he's like, I did? You called me. You made a date. I did. This is the thing, though. Tombstone is after Peter. Somebody called Michelle, and I don't know at the end if we're supposed to believe that Peter's just so busy he doesn't remember, or somebody actually was setting this up to maybe know where Peter would be to go kill him, because that would be a setup. You could end up where they're going to get here. She comes to get Peter pissed off. Okay, now he's distracted. Boom. I don't know. But really what it feels like is her to yell at him for the most craziest, forced reason, for then Mary Jane to hear this and possibly get jealous. But I say Mary Jane, but no, it's Jackpot. Seriously. I mean, Jackpot, she has her own book. It's terrible. She's here, brings the whole show down. I mean, this issue, and then we're just going to go off to Ravencroft, where Anna is befriending everybody. Oh my God, it's like she's everybody's aunt. Okay, we get it. We've seen this a million times with Aunt May. You get the deal, but do you need a whole issue with this? Because really all this is about, by the end, is getting Sandman out of the deal. And so to do that, this is their plan. This is the Ocean's 11 plan. And maybe it's so devious it could work. You have an attack by Electro. Electro ends up trying to wreck everything, which then brings the almost escaping, because all the power goes out, the prisoners can escape. But then they decide not to escape because Anna's looking at him like, tisk, tisk, tisk,
Yeah,
you shouldn't
don't you dare.
And then Mysterio attacks Anna. That probably should kill her, but then almost gets killed because Peter, Spider-Man, shows up with Jackpot. They start fighting. Hippo ends up just landing on top. But the whole idea of this, besides nobody knowing, especially Sandman, or at least William, is for Anna to get released because of good behavior of stopping a breakout. But that doesn't work that way. You know, you're not supposed to, but it doesn't make sense. But then William gives a plant to Aunt May that happens to have Flint Marco sand in it. And that's the prison break, but it is so ill explained.
Oh, I didn't know what was going on.
Progression is so ridiculous. That's all I think it is. I think the idea, because even at the end, Mysterio, I ran distraction, I did this. But the idea of me sitting there and thinking that the plan is, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break into Ravencroft, I'm going to knock out all the power. Everybody's going to try to escape. But then they won't, because they love that Anna. And then they'll come back. And then I'll attack Anna. But then I'll get attacked. And then I'll get thrown in prison and is actually being taken off to the raft. But then by that time, the plant, like the timing doesn't even work. The plant will then be out, which has the sand, which then goes. It makes no damn sense. This whole thing is bull crap. It doesn't make sense. And in an issue where I mean, Zeb Wells doesn't seem to really be joking a lot. How could it be worse than what he does? Because he's got the worst pacing with jokes and things like that. But this is not clever. It's not smart. It's not spelled out well. It's terrible, is what I think. And I'm getting irritated.
He does know that that sand is not what he used to pot a plant,
right? And then also, like, this plant had to have been somewhere. And I don't know that in all said and done, that when somebody leaves a prison, inmates are allowed to give you presents when you leave that you then take home, especially with metahumans. Especially with, like, if you have what you still have, you know, a suppressor deal, a dampener, and you still think this is Sandman, you're going to check that plant. And like you said, plants don't grow in sand. Maybe it's just a little, but this whole play
certainly not enough to reform him.
And then it, like, you have William, because when all this goes down, and I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. At one point, Mary Jane, at least in this, she spins her stupid jackpot thing, and you get, you know, octopus, what I thought was a stick of butter, but, you know, might be a gold bar, and octopus. At least that's visual. In the actual jackpot book, we don't do anything even close to that. It's so bad. But when you're doing this, the idea where Electro's going to get captured because that's part of and then getting sent to the raft, but thinking that the timing could be right, that what did they just do? What did they do? Like, oh man, the power's up. We're not going to go and check in at Anna. You can leave. Get out of here, you old scamp. Like you said, this has to go through a lot of processing of the idea of her being allowed to just walk, even though she never should have been in here. So it's all ridiculous that then Marco's able to kind of reform and go and save Sandman. Then they take him, and then at the Sinister Six, and Doc Ock is, you know, laughing it up.
The one that attacks and frees Electro, is that from the plant, or is that coming from somewhere else?
From him, because he says, and that's the weird play, he says, it's like I didn't beat Marco, but it feels like he's gone. And then that's where all of a sudden the sand on the table starts reacting, but then he starts going away as if somebody just snapped. He doesn't know what's happening. Then you get laughing from the plant on the windowsill. It's laughing as it goes. And then that's when that sand goes to swarm the van to free him. But this timing can't be right. Electro would have been on the raft for weeks by the time they were able to clear Anna out, and it just not. But even if you say, well, Jim, it's comics, just let it go, it still sucks. I mean, even me saying like, oh, this is just comic booky thing. All they're doing is to try to get Sandman to go enjoy the Sinister Six. Why the hell did we have to take 2 issues to do that? Peter's, oh man, it's going to upset him. Oh my God, but should it? Because I think now, I mean, it seemed like William might have been okay, but he might have dissipated. I don't know. And so there you go. You have Marco, and he's like, hey, I had to take matters into my own hands. Elektra was no help. And then Elektra goes, you ever heard of a diversion? I'm like, this was the worst plan that happened to come together. Like, it's one of those where I could bitch him on about the plan, but it did work. But I don't know how. And I don't know the timing. It worked because that's all Zeb Wells wants to do. And they say, what's next? I'm glad you asked. I'm like, really?
Why? Like, I struggle with why is Sandman even in Ravenclaw? Why did you even put him in there? Just to have Anna have to deal with it?
He didn't have a reason to put him in. He actually said, I went in myself.
Yeah, I want to be here.
That's how bad it is. That's how he didn't even have a way to put Sandman in himself. Ends up saying, oh, I want to get done my problem, so I admitted myself just to get to this bullshit. I'll curse whatever. I rarely curse in this podcast, but it is so bad that it's so forced. It's so ridiculous. The idea that we start with Michelle in a scene that means maybe something later, but means nothing here. You called me. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. And then we move on. Then Mary Jane, hey, it's good that you have a girlfriend.
Well, he almost has them kiss, too. He plays around with that, too, which is weird.
And, of course, in this book, no Paul. But then when we get to the, at the end, Paul is in the Jackpot book, and they seem fine. It's just...
And all the strides we've taken, too, in Superior Spider-Man with the development of Doc Ock character and everything, and then just have him in here feels so out of place as well.
Yeah, and people who don't like Dan Slott, that's fine. But
it's way better than this.
And there's still a book going, so you can't just mess it up. It's just not good. Amazing Spider-Man, pretty big book, right?
Yeah, it's my favorite book of all time.
Why are we going through 80 artists? It's just such a boring, bland issue that tries to get like the feels with Anna. But what would you give this?
6.
Yeah, I'm a 5.
I'm traditionally a little higher than you, but 6 is low for me.
I might even go 4 or 5. It's just, again, I'm going to give it a 5 because it's just bland. Things happen. At the end, the big play, like if I said to you beforehand, like, oh my God, it's so great, we get Sandman back. You'd be like, really? Like, that's the big thing? And Anna, she gets released from Ravencroft. I mean, that's great too. But she actually is very integral to this stupid plan. So she should get, why was she got sent back? Well, they're like, oh, you aided and abetted by taking that present of a, but maybe she did it on
according to the law, she did.
Yeah, on the down low. Like
she knew what she was getting into. He asked her to do it, and she did it.
Yeah, so she's in trouble.
Weird science is the revolution.